I'd like to go out with your blessing and do the Arabia 500, the Africa 500, the Asia 500, the Latin America 500, find all the very fast growing kind of Inc. 500 type companies and diagnose them, put them on the map, and have the markets come to them. So what I want to share with you when I have more than 45 seconds is sort of what we found, because 7 years later is where we are now, and it's been very, very hard, and many of the countries we work in almost don't exist anymore. They're at war. But we have 1,000 very high growth companies from 20 countries, and I will just give you the top line, but then I have a whole view of what to do to enable more of them. But the top line is they're now an average of 7 years old. Their average is $17 million a year in top-line sales. That's not bottom line, top line. They have, again, from only 7 years old, they didn't exist 7 years ago on average. They have 200 employees. They're growing at 40% a year. So these are sort of the future growth giants, or they are the growth giants that can be really the sort of vectors of change. So the question becomes, and now we have data, microeconomic data on all of them, how did they go from 0 to 17 million? How do they go from 17 million to 100 million? That's a whole strategy, and 100 and above. The failure, I think, of the SME world, which I think you guys have picked up in much more detail, is we've just kind of made a theme of it. We haven't made a research agenda of it. There's a totally different strategy to get somebody from 0 to 1 million. Strategy A, that's a whole group. Strategy B, 1 million to 17 million. That's the zone we have occupied. We can tell you what type of people, where they've come from, because we mapped them all, where they came from, go from 1 to 17 million. Then they make our ranking, and then very interesting things happen to go from 17 to 100, and then almost none of them can get past 100.